Mike Tannenbaum works for the mothership, ESPN front office insider, former NFL executive, and he founded the 33rd Team, a football think tank consisting of former NFL head coaches, GMs, and grad students, creating in-depth analysis on college and pro football. And it's the 33rd Team, provides insights with a lot of depth and experience and perspectives here. And Mike is kind enough to join us. Mike, can a GM talk to Odell Beckham? Can you ask for that right now?
Absolutely. So after 4 o'clock, Dan, yesterday, he was a free agent, and at 4:01, I'm on the phone with him if I'm the GM of any team that's contending.
What about coach, quarterback? Does that happen?
Absolutely. And we're going to tell him, hey, look, here's the exact role we want you to play. Here's a scheme. And you come in and let's just flush what's happened in the past. Cleveland Giants, that's ancient history. Come in, give us 8 meaningful regular season games. We'll go to the postseason. And we want to set you up, OBJ, to make a lot of money next March. Hopefully it's with us. If not, it'll be with another team.
Yeah, if you had 2 questions, Mike, as a GM, what would you ask Odell Beckham?
Number one, is it in the past, the reputation was you'd rather lose 49-47 and have 150 catches than win 10-6 with only 1 catch. Is that fair or unfair? And then number 2 would be is, what are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? And how do you expect to get there?
See, I would want to know what role did he play in the video that was put out by his dad? Now, that he kind of submarined Baker Mayfield, or at least co-signed on this. Would that concern you as a GM signing Odell Beckham?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to know that you're in charge of you and everybody else around you, and the pen's in your hand, OBJ, in terms of what you want everyone to think of you, because right now there is noise. There's a lot of distractions. So you could flush it, and that could be ancient history, or if that comes here and it doesn't work here, after your 13, usually you're a minimum guy. So the pen's in your hand. What do you want people to think of you?
The team that makes the most sense for Odell Beckham Jr. is who?
Dan, to me, it's Green Bay, and here's why. You come in, you're with Aaron Rodgers, you're on the opposite of Devontae Adams, you're in an ideal situation. And Aaron Rodgers, all that noise aside of what's just happened, Dan, he's running the program there, and he'll tell you exactly where you want to be, the routes, at what depth. And if you do this, you're going to get the ball. If you don't, we're going to get the ball to Allen Lazard and Valdez, Scantling, and everybody else. So you need somebody who's strong, conviction. It's a lot like Tom Brady, Antonio Brown. It's really a win-win, and having Aaron there will give OBJ the best chance to be successful.
What about Tampa? What about Kansas City? What about Seattle? You got strong quarterbacks.
Yep. I think Tampa, there's just too much there between, Antonio Brown, Godwin, Edmonds, Gronk. I just don't know if there's enough opportunity. Kansas City, they just try to run that same play, Dan, with Josh Gordon. So, maybe 3 weeks ago, Seattle to me is a possibility. And then the other team, he's from Louisiana, and let's face it, the Saints have a really good defense. Michael Thomas is out for the year, but the quarterback situation right now is a big question mark. So if I was representing OBJ, the Saints would be at the bottom of that group because I just don't know how productive I would be.
Yeah, and you can't put him in a situation where he's going to respect Trevor Siemian. And Trevor Siemian, even though that's his number 1 receiver, you still have to placate him. And I think that's where Baker Mayfield got in trouble early is this is OBJ. I want him to be my friend. I want him to respect me. And defenses have to know this, Mike, that he is going to zero in on him. Are the Browns better without Odell Beckham? And if so, why?
Yeah, Dan, it's really remarkable. The stats back it up, the tape backs up, because I think Baker just plays quarterback. Last week, Jarvis Landry had 11 yards receiving. He was a non-factor, but 8 different players touched the ball. Chubb obviously had a big game. Denzel Ward had a pick 6. They put up a lot of points because they were diverse on their offense. And Donovan Peoples-Jones was a big-time recruit coming out of the Michigan area. And when he played at Michigan, there was really just very poor quarterback play. I think he has a chance to be really good. I'm not saying like an elite star, but he could be a bona fide, really solid receiver. So they have a number of weapons, and they could just play offense and not worry about OBJ.
He's Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN front office insider, former NFL executive. If you were the GM of the Browns, what would you do with Baker Mayfield long term?
I have massive concerns. He's height and speed deficient, And Dan, if you and I were running a team, he's maybe the sixth best quarterback in the AFC when you think about Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, Derek Carr. Like, this is the golden age of quarterbacks in the AFC. Arguably, he's the third best quarterback in the AFC North behind Lamar and Joe Burrow. So I'm paying him maybe in that mid-tier market, but we can't win a championship with Baker Mayfield. Do we want to go to war every day with the sixth or seventh best quarterback in our conference?
But there is no mid-tier, though, Mike. This is what I keep arguing, that it feels like next guy up is going to make 40 to 45 million, or you cut him. I would love to have that, if I'm an agent, that there's a landing spot here that my guy's going to make $28 million a year. Let's just throw out a random number here. That feels like it's amenable for both sides, but it doesn't happen. Why?
Well, because there's massive egos on both sides, and you're right. The number to be is 28 to 30 with Kirk Cousins, somewhere in that range. Yeah. Baker Mayfield, to me, here's the conversation. Hey, you stay here, you're going to hit 100% of a double, which, by the way, is probably $130 to $180 million over the next 6 to 7 years. And we could go keep Wyatt Teller, who we just signed. We're going to keep Denzel Ward, Nick Chubb. We have a really good team, and you're a meaningful part. Or you could go leave and go sign with some bad team and go make whatever the number is, 38 million, 39 million. Maybe you get lucky and go to Carolina that has a great defense, but chances are you may go to a team that's rebuilding. So if you want to make the most money, it's not going to be here in Cleveland. But if you want to have a chance to win with a lot of good teammates, you're going to have to take, as you said, somewhere between 28 and $30 million.
Why is Cam Newton still out of football?
Dan, that's a great question. Every week on ESPN, I would sign Cam Newton to a 2-year deal if I'm Pittsburgh, if I'm New Orleans, and here's why. Ben Roethlisberger had a great career. It's one of the Hall of Fame. He's not good enough anymore, and he's declining this year, and he's worse next year. If you're the Saints, you don't have a quarterback under contract for next year, so the draft doesn't look great. Maybe pick it out of Pitt, could be a first-rounder. But if you get Cam Newton to sign for this year and next year, you're solidifying that position while you look for somebody else. And while he's not perfect, he's another year off of shoulder surgery, and I think it's a no-brainer to sign him to a 2-year deal.
What did you think of the Dolphins flirting with Deshaun Watson?
They were doing their job. I mean, if you go back to his freshman year at Alabama, when you come into these programs in the NFL or big-time college football, you're competing. He beat out Jalen Hurts. Hurts had to transfer to Oklahoma. And we always tell players, Dan, like, you're competing against the backups in this building and anybody else we can get. So it's competition. They were doing their job. And by the way, here's the other thing that was smart about what Miami did, Dan. If they're interested in him in March, they now have a massive head start over Carolina, Denver, and all these other teams. So if Tua can't handle and be mentally tough to know that there's going to be competition, they have the wrong guy. So I think what they did was smart and proactive.
Let me circle back to Aaron Rodgers before I let you go. Is he more likely to stay or less likely to stay with what just happened?
I think it's a massive opportunity for the Green Bay Packers. I'm running into Aaron Rodgers' house. I'm Brian Gutekunst. I'm not going to do it and say, hey, we got your back. We're going to handle the fines, all the noise. Go be a great teammate. Go win a championship. And I'll tell you this, Dan. Ironically, I traded for Favre back with the Jets. You could hear in their voice that they knew they had something special with Aaron Rodgers. They don't have that with Jordan Love. This is an opportunity to start recruiting Aaron that, hey, you're a big part of what we're going to do. You'll have a say on the roster. You're not going to be the GM, but if you suggest a guy like Randall Cobb, we're going to take that, into consideration. But we have your back. And to me, if I'm Green Bay, Dan, this is an opportunity at a time that he's getting criticized to show him how much we care about you.
How did you initiate trade talks with Green Bay for Favre?
I called every day. To me, the word no is a great conversation starter. And it took us about 3 weeks to convince Brett that, coming to the Jets was not practicing in frickin' Times Square, as ironically it was John Gruden, who was the head coach at Tampa. And we just wore him down. And we just put together a compelling case. I told him that I was going to fine him every Tuesday that he didn't hunt or fish, and that there was a big farm about 10 miles from our facility. And we showed him that he could have a great experience both on and off the field. But for a shoulder injury, Dan, I'm sure he would be taking level 42 CBD now. If he could have back then, he would have maybe gotten us over the hump. But Brett was a great experience.
Who were you competing against to get Favre?
It was Tampa. And the problem for us was, he was in Mississippi. He played for John Gruden up in Green Bay, and he didn't know Brian Schottenheimer, our coordinator, Eric Mangini, or myself. So we actually sent Google satellite imaging of this farm and said, hey, Brett, every Tuesday you are not allowed in the building. You have to hunt and fish. You're going to be in the building 3 days a week. We got a great bunch of dudes. You're going to be really happy here, and let's go beat New England. And we finally, after about 3 weeks of getting the word no, we finally got him over the hump.
But you also are fighting this image of you go to New York and, oh, my God, I got to deal with all of this. You don't have to deal with any of that. You guys are, out in the suburbs in New Jersey.
Right. But, Dan, you know that, and I know that. Like, you're a Northeast guy. You're in Connecticut. If you're Brett Favre and you're on a 500-acre farm, and I saw it when we went to get him, it's every inch of 500 acres. New York is a very intimidating place. And I will go to my grave convinced that once he got those Google satellite images of this farm, and it's a 12-minute drive from Florham Park to this farm, that he was going to have a great experience. And I think that was a game changer, because all he kept hearing from Tampa is, if you go to the Jets, you're going to be in Times Square. There's traffic. You're going to hate it there. So this is a guy that was from the South, went to school in the South, played in Green Bay, and we had to convince him that there was actually, we have trees in New Jersey.
Mike, great to catch up with you as always. Thanks. Great stuff.
Yeah, appreciate you having me. Thanks, Dan.
That's Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN front office insider, former NFL executive, and founder of the 33rd team.